Hello, the paint pouring community. Well, this is actually a video for beginners that want to really start their acrylic art, flow art, pouring. It's named several different things, but it's basically acrylics made up in a way using different mediums that make it flow, and there's all different ways of doing it. But what I'm teaching today is a very budget conscious way to start your acrylic flow journey. So it's with budget paints, budget PVA glue, everything's on the budget, in the way that you could give this a go to see if it's something that you would enjoy doing, but without, you know, going overboard, spending all this money and finding it's not for you or you don't enjoy it. So this is my video on very budget basic content. I will write a card and add it to my descriptions underneath. If you click, I'll add like the basics, what you need, and hopefully I'll add a card that you can Photoshop as well. So I'll go, well basically your first thing, now remember this is a budget one, so what I'm going to do to start you off, and this is what I did when I first started, they're Mont poster paints, so they're not even acrylic, they're tempera, whatever it's, these so beautiful bright vibrant colours, and this is what I started with when I first started. So these are probably only less than $6 for 500 mils, so it is actually your cheapest way of achieving an acrylic art pour without using acrylic paints. I mean, of course you can start off on acrylics if that's what you do, but this is a very budget conscious way of starting off your art journey. So as I tell each time I do a video, in my drop down box underneath this video I have the information of the products I've used and also how I mix the pouring medium, and you'll have my, if you're in Australia, I have my Australian online supplier that I get my stuff from, and they have all of these Mont poster paints in, I think there's about 20 different colours, like amazing. So you've got your paints. The next thing is to buy yourself some PVA glue. So again, I'm gone for the Mont. I think this is about $10–11. Again, you can find that online, and you need a PVA glue. So that's the next thing you will need. The next thing after that is just yourself some little cups, so to mix in your painting. So these are the small coffee cup size. Do go a bit bigger, you know, depending on, you know, they go bigger and then bigger again. So I'm just starting off with this size. So that's one of the things you need. The next things you need are just yourself a packet of these wooden lollipop sticks. I think that's what they're called in Australia, lolly sticks or something. So you'll need a packet of those. And I'm going to, this is Helmar silicone. It's Australian made. You can buy it in the US or you can buy it in Australia, and it's under $7, and I think under $6 on my online supplier that I buy from. So you just need that. And then I bought this pack of 4 little canvases, stretch canvas. So great for starting. They were a 4-pack for $5 from Kmart. So if you go to a shop and you just want to start off with some little canvases like this is what I'm going to start with you guys today, because this is a beginner's. So those are a great little thing. So the other thing, just little quirks that I do, you could leave your canvases exactly like that, but I like to put masking tape on the back of my canvas just so I don't get all the paint on the back. So if you turn out a really gorgeous masterpiece, you haven't got all the paint sticking everywhere over the back. So it's just another little thing that I like to do to finish it off. I will get to that. And you will need yourself some gloves. You can either use the disposable gloves or you can use the dishwash gloves, which I've just tried to, I'm just like, as you can see, these are well worn. I think I'm into my 3rd week with these. So obviously, rather than throw dozens of these away, because I paint every day, they're covered in paint, but you can go, I'll just go and wash them and pull them off, put a bit of talcum powder so they don't stick. So that's another thing. Now what I've got is a jug here. So this was a $1 jug from Kmart in Australia. So yourself a jug, and I'm just using this spatula thing to actually mix the paint when I show you how I mix the PVA as a pouring medium. So what I'll start with, I'll just move my paints out of the way. This is just a crudely homemade little out of polystyrene that my husband used his hole drill to drill me these holes so it holds the cups, because I was always knocking my cups over. So that's just another little thing that you might be able to add to your paint pouring experiment to see if you like it or not, beginners. So let's get down to it. Okay, what I've done is this jug, I don't normally measure, you see, I just use by eye, but for the case of a beginner, I can see that you need measurement. So this has got mils down the side. What I've done is I poured from my Mont glue, I poured 200 mils into this jug. So there's 200 mils in my jug of PVA glue. Then I have filled this container up with just water. For some reason I have found, and I'm not sure why, that if you add warm water to your PVA, it seems to just work better in your paint. Don't ask me why, I don't know the science of it. So what I'm going to add is, normally my measurements are 70% PVA glue, 30% water. So in this I'm using 200 mils, so I'll need 100 ml of water to add to it. So I'll go down the sides is milliliters. So I'm going to add 100 mils. So I'll just add that amount to start with, and then I'm just stirring it up. So different PVAs certainly may require different amounts of water. And I might find that this does, because sometimes even different batches require different amount of water. So I'm just giving you a rule of thumb. It's usually 70% PVA glue, 30% water. So if it was 100 mils of PVA, then you what is it, 1,000, in 1 litre you would need 300 mils of water. Is that correct? Who knows? Okay, so that needs a little bit. I will add a little bit more. Ooh, it's going all over the place, but yeah, it's a nice relaxing process that you just take your time. Even if you stop this video and you want to get all your, when you've got all your gear together, just get your gear together, then play this video and just basically do it step by step, just as I am. If you think I can advise you anymore, obviously just drop me a message or join me on my Acrylic Art by Julie Cube Facebook page. Okay, so that's a nice consistency. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin. So different PVAs will require different amounts of water, I've found, but usually rule of thumb 70-30 is quite. So it's certainly not like water. It's sort of like a pouring cream that's got a bit of body in it. Probably could do with a little bit more water. Like I said, I've just added some warm water to this for whatever reason. I'm not sure about the science in it, but yeah, it just works great. So those are all your budget products that you'll need. Okay, I'll bring this over. So this is the paints I've poured all of these paints into my cups, except I just want to show you that it's about, I've put about 1.5 centimeters of, like, I just look at the side. See, I'm not into weighing, and I know a lot of people don't like weighing, so it's about 1.5, you can see about 1.5 centimeters of paint. This is just for these little paintings. So if you obviously got more paint in there, then you add more, or you want to do bigger painting, then you need more paint. So I just take the lid off and squeeze about 1.5 centimeters. That's what I'm doing in these little cups anyway. So your next stage is make sure that's mixed up really nice and well. And okay, put that aside. So what I do is I just pour I always pre-mix. This is what's called your pouring medium. This is your pouring medium. This is what you add to your paint. So I just pour into my paint. Maybe if I've got 1.5 centimeters, then I'll double that to about 3 centimeters. But more than anything, it's the paint consistency, because even same brand paints require different amounts of paint. So that's probably double in there, like that's 1.5, but that's way too thick. Look, it's not, it needs to be running. Made up one earlier, needs to be just running. Probably that is a little bit on the thin side. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Needs to be like, leave a slight trace in your cup, like pouring cream. So it pours, but it's got the creamy consistency. So that's what I want you to get with when you're pouring that into your paints. Okay, we've just gone ahead and mixed all these. I just didn't want to bore you with all the mixing. So I've mixed with my PVA and water, and I've got this kind of consistency. So it leaves a little trace. It's as the Goldilocks and Three Bears said, it's not too thick and it's not too thin. It obviously needs body in the paint, but it also needs to be able to flow, because that's why what we're doing is fluid. See, that's gone too thick. So you can either add a little bit of your water to that, just add a little bit at a time and stir until it goes to the consistency, and it may thicken up, especially this poster paint, as you go. But just give it a bit of water or an extra bit of the pouring medium, which is the PVA glue and water. So you'll hear people mention pouring medium. It's anything that you add to the paint to make it flow. Some people buy pre-made pouring mediums, which are available as well, varying in price for budget up to very expensive. But this is what I'm just teaching you today, a homemade budget conscious one. Yeah, it's all gone a little bit thick, but what I'll do is I'll get the next stage, putting the canvases out. Oh, nearly forgot the silicone. So this is 100% silicone, and it's an Australian made, and I've just found this is one of the best products because it doesn't leave a residue on your finished canvas when your canvas is dry, which is very good. And like I said, it's under $7, under $6 on my online site, which is in the drop down box, not my online, where I get them from. So that's great. So what you do in a cup size, this only 2 drops. You do not need any more. So 1, 2. Oh, that was 2. Ah. 2. Just 2 drops in a cup this side. You just don't need that much of it. It's a brilliant product, this one. I've tried all the different products that different people tell you to use, and I've just found this the best. So what you do is after you've added that, you just give it a really good stir in. Stir it well. I know that other people when I was learning said you just stir it once or twice, but I mean I've been pouring a while now and done this art, and I've absolutely found that stirring it in really well gives the best effects, and it stops your paint having a lot of residue floating on the top afterwards. So, and that's just by experience. So you give it a really good stir in. Stirring Stanley, there we go. So just give it a good stir in. So it does give your arms a good workout, even though I've still got chubby arms, they're giving a good workout. So mix that really well into your paints. Okay, I'm going to move the paints aside for a second. So move those aside, and I will bring in my, okay, it's on walkabouts now. I had it, oh, here we go. It's just this is what I'm going to use for these, just a baking tray. It just keeps your work up. I've missed that one. I use a puppy pea pad underneath, but you can just as well use newspaper, anything underneath, or a sheet of plastic. But just remember to keep your surface, if you're working on your kitchen table or your kitchen bench, keep it well covered with a piece of plastic. So what I use in my, I've got my garage set up as my art room. So this is what I'm going to use for these two little canvases, because they're nice and easy. But I do use on bigger canvases, I use these push pins, which I just hammer into each corner, and then it stands your piece of work up off the pea pad. But for today I'm using this tray instead. So there's your two little canvases, the back. This is what I do, is I just cover the back on the very edge like that. Now, another idea, if you're really getting into it and you're really doing some lovely work and you want to protect the back of your canvas from getting, then you just put a sheet of paper and then put so you're covering the whole canvas at the back from getting any muckiness on it, really. So there's those two. I've got a bit of a bow in this, which you don't want, and that's another thing. You really do want a flat surface to work on, because when I first started pour painting, I had a table and it was obviously off tilt, so all of my paint used to slide. So these, I think you can get them from a discount or Bunnings hardware store, I think less than $6, just a spirit level, so it lets you know. And that's actually dead in the center. So it just lets you know, so your paint won't all slide off while it's drying. Because as I said, it's liquid paint, fluid art, or acrylic flow art. So I'm going to put my old gloves on. Like I said, you can use, but just make sure you do wear gloves when you mix, playing with paints. And I probably should have definitely put them on when I was doing my PVA glue, but I didn't get any on my fingers. But I do suggest that you do it. And if you do have any allergies to any of the smell of the glue, that's not very strong smelling, but somebody might use PVA that's strong smelling, then you need a respirator mask on of some description. So I've got all my paint set up as I showed you. Now this is just one little method that I want to show you for, it's called a dip. And this was a nice easy one, and it's nice to do with children, but it also comes out very effective. So I'm going to just, my paints, just nice and slow. This particular one I'm doing in a V. Oh, doesn't matter if you get them anywhere, don't stress. This is the thing about this kind of painting, it's definitely a therapy as well as a beautiful art piece that you could end up at the end with, hopefully. So, this paint's on the little bit thick side, so that definitely could come down a notch or two. So that was the nice red. I'm going for this nice bright yellow, so it's definitely like carnival pour. I have done these colours before in this particular one, and it come out looking like a peacock wings, so just your own little design in there, whatever. There's no absolute correct method of doing it, that you've got to do it a certain way. So I'm going with the beautiful aqua, or I think it's turquoise, which I love turquoise in paintings. So it's just in the V fashion, but absolutely don't stress if you go off tether or another. This is just one way that I'm teaching you an easy method, and it absolutely don't worry if you're getting, oh, I've got paint on this and I've got paint on. It's absolutely fine. It's not gonna spoil anything. In fact, it might add to the abstract art that you're doing. So this is the nice green. Trying to keep these V's going. These paints probably a little bit on the thick side, but because I'm going to do what I call a dip, a double dip, you will see why. So put in all these colours in that I've mixed today, so I'm certainly having this lovely, gonna have this really bright effect for sure. Okay, so that was the orange. Just putting a bit, I'm not with the white, I am just scooting it around. I'm not worrying about doing the V's with the white. I just want to put that in there to give a bit of contrast in there. So that was the white, and now I've got the black. So we'll try and just do the V's with the black. Doesn't matter, it's not, don't stress about it. This is what it's all about. It's something that's relaxing for you to do. Okie dokie, so just going to tilt this a bit around the canvas. You just gently tilting it around to cover anything that you may have missed. Not that I think I've missed anything, I've got so much paint on this. But you can either just run some paint over your edges, so you've got nice clean, nice colourful edges, or you can always do those afterwards. But because I've got so much paint on here, I will just run it about a bit. So just every time you sort of tilt to cover up the edges and everything, just keep recentering your paint so you've not got your paint sitting all in one spot or another. So it's just no stressing about if you don't think, oh, it wasn't the same as mine, same as mine. Don't worry. It's just paint, and it's supposed to be for a relaxing, doing your own artwork. If you've got your corners bare like that, don't worry, because you've got enough paint underneath to just what I call finger pop, and it's just pat with your finger like that, just patting it, but I'll come back to that. As well, keep a damp cloth handy for yourself, just to keep wiping yourself down. Now, the next stage, which I hope the magic happens, is, this is what's called I'm calling it a double dip. I don't know what the name is. It's just rest your other canvas. So this is like 2 for the price of 1 on top. Just try not too fiercely, because you don't want it to slide off. It doesn't matter if it does. Don't stress about that either. Just and this is I just press in gently so it's collecting the paint that's underneath. Probably the amount of paint that I put on this particular canvas, I could probably get another one of these and dip it again. We will see. Okay, so if this is your beginning of your fluid art journey, be prepared to come become addicted, because this is exactly how I started, doing a dip and then a cut pour, and it was just, I mean, I've liked art all of my life and done art at school, but only in recent years, since I basically semi-retired, have I come back to find this fluid art form, which actually a teacher back in school used to do something similar. I'm not sure if she added PVA, but I know she had flow paints. So I mean, that's going back over 40 years, so a long time. So with this one, just, yeah. So don't worry if when you lift it up, you may be left with a bald spot. I will show you how to get out of that. So I'm just slipping it aside so I can hold your finger on the one underneath and just lift slowly. Oh, okie dokie. And there you've got this absolutely carnival of colours. There's a little tiny bit there that's not, so I'm just going to lift my finger up and down. Now that's covered, that's done. So I don't want to touch it anymore. If you see the sides are not completely covered, but that's all right, because after it's dry you can just go along with a little brush and paint the sides. But look at that, look at that absolutely beautiful, bright little creation. I mean, obviously if you wanted to do them more classy looking in the colours of the browns, beiges, golds and coppers, it can be just a real classy little piece of art for your home. So, oh, and there my phone goes ringing. But look at that, that is so beautiful, so easy. What I'll do is at the end of this video I will post photos of it as it dries, so you'll get to see the gorgeous piece. Now, I mean, that's just an idea of what you can do with this gorgeous poster paint. So this is a cheap, economical, budget friendly beginner's start to showing you your fluid art journey. So obviously I've got lots of more videos on my channel here, a YouTube channel that's got far more advanced techniques, but this is by far one of the easiest. That has got so much paint that I could dip on it again and make another little creation out of it, but for the time being, that's it. That's your beginning of your art journey. That's bright, colourful, very cheerful, and it was just a little instructional video to show you what you can do. You can put this art up in your own home, you can give it for gifts, just enjoy the process. It's an absolute wonderful pastime. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. You get lots of loads of tips, tricks, new ideas that I'm coming up with, new tools that I use, advice all the time. So please join me and click the subscribe button and join me again for my videos. Thanks so much for all the positive and wonderful comments that I get off my followers that already follow me. Until next time, bye.